Hello friends, thank you so much for being here. So today I'm going to go over all of the best cream products specifically for summer, and I have a lot of products to share with you guys. I'm going to be showing pros and cons of each, and I have a little bit of something for everyone, different skin types, both oily, normal, and dry, and also a couple of different products in each category that cater to different preferences. So there's a little bit of something for everyone in this video. If you want to know what I think are the best cream products for summer, then let's go. If you see me looking over in this direction, I have a bunch of notes. Let's start off with primer. This isn't technically a primer, but I do want to include this skincare product because prepping the face for hot weather is super important. So the first one that I want to recommend is the Bioma Moisturizing Rich Cream. You can get this off of the Flip app. The Moisturizing Rich Cream has shea extract and a triceramide complex. I recommend this for all skin tones, even if you have oily skin, and this is the reason why. As you can tell, this is a super light, kind of fluffy, whipped texture, and you don't need a lot of this. So for those of you with oily skin, you're still going to enjoy this. It leaves a beautiful, natural kind of glow. It's not heavy at all. It's not gonna make you look greasy or too shiny. Next is the Danessa Myricks Blurring Balm Powder. I have the universal shade, which just looks clear. It's that putty kind of texture. I've spoken about this before. It's very similar to like the e.l.f. putty primers, except this one is a bit more thin. This one specifically is best for oily, textured, and very porous skin. So if you have a lot of physical scarring from acne, or if your pores just really show specifically in this area, this is going to smooth right over them. It's going to really create that even base, fill in the pores, and be really smooth. And it's also going to keep that oil production from seeping through your makeup as well. And the last primer I recommend, I don't have with me. I used to have it in my collection and I finished it all up. It is the e.l.f. Acne Fighting Putty Primer, specifically the acne fighting one. Now, as far as acne fighting, I did not notice any difference. So I would not use this to help with acne at all. But I like the texture of the Acne Fighting Putty Primer way more than the original one. It's quite similar to the Danessa Myricks one, but I find this one is more creamy and way more hydrating than the Danessa Myricks one. So if you're oily, go for Danessa Myricks, but if you're normal to dry, try the e.l.f. one, and it's also a fraction of the price. And I feel like this one, just like the Danessa Myricks one, really creates an even smooth canvas, and it just allows the makeup to really melt in. Very melty, very creamy, very smooth on the skin. Next category is eyeshadow, and I have quite a few recommendations, starting off with these amazing no budge eyeshadows from e.l.f. I just have one color. These are insanely pigmented. Let me show you. I mean, that is a pretty full coverage, very pigmented, extremely creamy white, and these do set down. What I love most about these is that they don't dry down too fast. A lot of cream / liquid eyeshadows, like the REM Beauty ones, unfortunately, as soon as you put them onto your lid, as soon as they make contact with air, it's like they immediately dry down, and it's so hard to work with. They're super patchy and dry and show like every single little bit of texture on the skin. These do not do that. In the same breath as the No Budge Cream eyeshadows, I also love the stick forms of these. They are also called No Budge eyeshadows, but in the stick form. Those come with a sharpener, so I really love that. And those are super long wearing. Just like the cream version, they do set down, but also like the cream version, they give you enough playtime so you can blend it out. I love those sticks for like a quick eyeliner look. If you're a type of person that's just like one and done kind of eyeshadow, you need to be out the door and just want something super quick, I would recommend the sticks more so than the eyeshadows. I feel like these ones do take a little bit more time and effort to blend out. Not that they're difficult to blend out at all. My next recommendation are the About Face I love that sound. These are the matte fluid eye paints. And these, I guess, are technically more of a liquid, but I do want to mention them because one, out of all of these recommendations, these are the most deep skin, rich, deep dark skin tone friendly. So if you have that skin tone, you're going to love these. And you only need just the tiniest little bit. I'll go ahead and swatch this one. This is in the shade Cloned. So I just put that tiny little bit, and I want you guys to see how much this spreads. These ones, just like the e.l.f. ones, they do set down and they are extremely budge proof, just like the e.l.f. ones. I find these ones, you don't have as much time to blend out before they set. The next recommendation is an eyeliner. These LA Girl Shockwave eyeliners, you can find them at Ulta, specifically this black. This color is in the shade Blackout. So super creamy. This eyeliner is great if you love smudging your eyeliner. Super smudgeable. Also would be really good as an eyeshadow base if you want to layer other eyeshadows on top of this. This one is a great option. I've always struggled with creamy eyeliners in this kind of form. When I try to tightline or even on my waterline, that they just immediately bleed. They go into like the inner and outer corners and they're really messy. This one somehow does not do that. I don't know what kind of voodoo magic they put in this formula, but it's absolutely incredible. And another cream eyeshadow, a tried and true, such a classic, are the ColourPop Super Shock eyeshadows. This is my favorite color, Ritz. And this is actually a dupe for the Urban Decay Space Cowboy, that really viral eyeshadow that's been going around on TikTok. Go ahead and get Ritz from ColourPop. It has a really pretty brown base and then just a bunch of like silver, a little bit of blue, a little bit of pink sparkle. ColourPop, super affordable. These are like $5. They come in every single color you could possibly want. They're super creamy. They don't transfer. Most of them don't have fallout. I think some of like the more glittery ones do, but this one I never have fallout with. And it does last. It doesn't fade away and it doesn't like crease. A lot of eyeshadows that are creamy like this, especially in a pot form, if you put them on like throughout the day, the oils start to like seep through your eyelids and it'll mix with them and there's just like lines, little creasy lines on your lid. That doesn't happen with the ColourPop eyeshadows. Next is eyebrows, and unfortunately I don't have either of these products in my collection, and I only have two. First one I did have in my collection, but it expired, so I had to throw it out. But it is the e.l.f. Brow Lift. It's the clear one. That's the dupe for the Anastasia like Freeze Brow, whatever that product is. It's great for thick, coarse hairs because my eyebrows are pretty thick and coarse. So sometimes like they'll just fall if I use different brow gels. It doesn't happen with this e.l.f. one. And my favorite thing is it doesn't leave a white cast or get those like white flakes that looks like your eyebrows have dandruff. Like that's what happened when I tried to use the Patrick Ta laminating brow gel. That one literally made me look like I had really crusty, dandruffy eyebrows. It was so strange. And also, my other recommendation is from e.l.f. Lock On Liner and Brow Cream. Now, some cons to this product. Unfortunately, it only comes in 3 shades and they're all very like ashy / neutral toned browns. So if you have blonde hairs or like red auburn hairs, unfortunately, they don't have shades that are going to match your eyebrow hairs. But what I really like about this one is that it's not too pigmented. With a lot of eyebrow pomades, they're way too pigmented and it gives you that like 2016 very blocky eyebrow. And this does set down and lasts all day. I wouldn't necessarily call it smudge proof. Like if you're gonna be like wiping your eyebrows, you're going to get a little bit of messiness, but when it comes to like sweat, it's not going to make them like run. Next category is bronzer and contour. And my first recommendation I've raved about in recent videos. It is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Contour Wand. I am obsessed with this product. The packaging is not the best. It's a little bit messy, so product does get like all over the applicator and like into the cap. Honestly, I can just look past that because the product itself is phenomenal. And watch how quickly this blends out in actually seconds. It's so beautiful. It has a really nice glow, but it's not too glowy. This looks super natural on the skin, like undetectable, like you just look that bronzed. It's super thin, it just melts right in. It's really easy to use. I feel like this is super user friendly even if you're a beginner, and you can build this up so you can get like a very light wash like I just showed you, or you can keep piling on the layers for a super dramatic look. Also from e.l.f., this is the bronzer I'm wearing today, and this is the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Bronzer. I prefer this way more than the original putty bronzer. My gripe with the original is it's so dry. I feel like this one is way more easier to work with, and it doesn't dry out like the original one does, at least in my experience. And this is the shade Day Trip. So that's the shade Day Trip. As you can see, it has a very natural kind of luminosity. These do have a powdery finish once they set down. So this is definitely a cream to powder type of formula. The shade range for these putty bronzers is excellent. Like, from the lightest to the deepest skin tone, there is something, so I love to see that. And I have 2 more recommendations I currently do not have in my collection. First one is the Milk Makeup Matte Cream Bronzer Stick. You don't even have to think about it, very similar to the contour wand from e.l.f. You would put it on in the dark and just kind of like messily like blend it in with a brush or a sponge, and it's going to look seamless. That one is more dewy than both of these. And it says matte, but it's not matte. Like, I definitely wouldn't classify that milk stick as matte. It's a satin matte. It's very natural. It's not going to look dry. It's not going to cling on to like texture or anything, and it doesn't feel thick. And also, just like the putty bronzer, the shade range on this is fantastic. So if you are of a deep skin tone, there is a shade for you. And my last recommendation, I've also had this product before, a classic Fenty Beauty matchsticks. They have so many colors, and the shade range, of course, they're gonna have something for everybody. This one, out of all of my bronzer recommendations, is the best one for oily skin. I would say that, along with the Luminous Putty Bronzer, those two are the best for my oily skin girlies. It does feel more on the drier side and very thin once you apply it, but it's not cakey, it's not hard to work with, it's not patchy at all. Like, it's going to blend like a dream. And I would say out of all of these recommendations, the Fenty Beauty matchsticks are the best if you're looking for a super dramatic, super intense kind of like. Moving on to the blush category, I only have 2 blushes. I could have had like a million in here because I love blush so much. And I do have a video already on my channel talking about these 2 blushes in particular, but also just my favorite blushes, swatches on the arm and on the face. Go check that out if you are interested. That will give you a little bit more information, because I'm not going to go too in depth since I've already spoken about these before. If you are of a deep dark skin tone, you are going to love the Tower 28 Beach Please blushes. This one, I would say, more so than my next recommendation, is better for longevity. This really does set down. Even though it's a cream, it does set down and it lasts. You can also use these on the lips. I love this color Power Hour in the fall specifically, both on the cheeks and the lips. And it's not dewy, like it actually dries down pretty matte, but it's not a flat matte. I would say it's a pretty natural finish. And the next one I've spoken about so many times, Undone Beauty, these lip to cheek palettes. They have like 8 to 10 colors, so there's a little bit of something for everyone. Also very dark skin friendly. This one comes with 3 different levels of pigmentation, from light, medium, and then fullest coverage. This is the most typical true emollient cream kind of formula. As you can see just in the pan, it's super creamy and like shiny. Even though it does have that kind of texture, these aren't just gonna wipe away. I have 3 cream highlighters to share with you guys, and the first one I am wearing today, and this is ColourPop's Flexitarian Super Shock highlighter. I mean, even in the pan, it just looks... The thing about these Super Shock highlighters, looking at the shade range, I was a little bit disappointed because I was not seeing anything for deeper skin tones. That is definitely a con to this product. However, this is a great drugstore option. These are only like $5 or $6, and they are super, super impactful. They feel very thin when you touch them. And I just took the tiniest little bit and like, you can just tell, like super reflective, super shiny. And the next two highlighters I don't have in my collection, but I have owned before. This next one is the Flower Beauty Day Glow Highlighting Glaze. Out of all of these recommendations, if you are a more natural girly, if you want something that looks like very natural, just like a glow from within, not a lot of like pearl like this one, just truly like a glow, just like a gloss on the skin, but something doesn't feel sticky or like wet on the face, this is the one for you. They only have 2 shades, so I don't think this is gonna really work for like the deepest, darkest of skin tones, unfortunately. It doesn't create weird textures or bunch up on the skin, and it's not gonna get stuck in your hair. Like if it's windy outside, if you're turning your head and your hair is like flowing, it's not going to stick to your face. And my last recommendation is the Milk Makeup Highlighting Sticks. Now this range does have something for everyone, so I love to see that. And this one is also super easy to use. It has way more impact as the Flower Beauty one, but not as much as the ColourPop. So in terms of like shininess and impact, it's in the middle of those two. And this one is my favorite for layering. If you want to put a powder on top, it's really going to make whatever you put on top of it stick down. Your hair and like stuff will get stuck to it because it is more tacky than the Flower Beauty one. I grouped foundation and concealer together. I am wearing one of my recommendations as my foundation. I spoke about this in a recent video, and these are the She Glam Full Coverage Foundation Balms. I have the shade Golden, and that is the one I'm wearing all over my face. This is a really good summer shade, so if you are the same skin tone as me, Golden is a great summer shade. But for the winter, I will be using the shade Butterscotch. Okay, so this one is Golden and this one is Butterscotch. And they are pretty full coverage. They're covering up my tattoo almost completely. So again, this is Golden and this one is Butterscotch. Even in the component, you can see how creamy this is. And if you have oily skin, this might scare you because it looks like it'll just be greasy and like slide right off your face. But that is not the case with these foundation balms. They set themselves. Like I don't really have to powder, and I'm not worried about any kind of transfer if I'm touching my face or if like I accidentally rub my face. A huge con, unfortunately, to this foundation is their shade range past like tan is like the colors are there, but the undertones are not. Like the rich and deep shades in this line like just all look really green and really gray. So unfortunately, if you are of a deep dark skin tone, I would not even bother like buying these. But if you are tan all the way to fair light, you are gonna find something that works for you in the shade range. So it's super, super creamy and melts in very easily. But I would not use a sponge. If you watched my last video, the sponge just completely took the makeup off. And I've tried it with different sponges. I just don't think this formula is best with a sponge. I would definitely just stick to either your hands or a flat top kabuki, like a very thick buffer kind of foundation brush. My next recommendation was in my best of 2022. I absolutely love this concealer and I use it as a foundation. The Rem Beauty concealer. Let me not beat a horse to death because I've spoken about this so many times. 60 shades, and there's just something for everyone. Truly, I have seen the deepest, darkest of people wear this concealer. This is super creamy and it has a soft matte finish. And I wear the shade Medium 7N. It basically blends in to my body tone, so you can't really tell it, but you can see the very natural kind of finish that I was talking about. This is super full coverage. If you have rosacea, if you have hereditary dark circles like I do, this will cover up all your deepest, darkest secrets. My last recommendation, I do not have in my collection, but it's been my favorite concealer for like a year and a half, and it is the Kosas Revealer Concealer. It literally feels like skincare. Like, it feels like you put on a very hydrating, nourishing eye cream underneath the eyes. It's very buildable. I would not say you get full coverage with this. I think the most is like medium. I do not recommend this for concealing like dark spots or acne on the face, just because this one is so incredibly luminous and glowy that it's going to reflect the light back and really emphasize any kind of acne, anything you're trying to cover. So if you're looking for coverage for acne and stuff, go for the REM Beauty one. But if you're just focused on the under eyes and want something that's going to make you look so fresh, so cute and dewy and youthful, this is the one for you. This one does crease. There's things to do to get around that this will crease, but compared to like my LOIS or my Huda Beauty concealer, the Kosas concealer does crease more than those two. But we made it to the last category, which is lips. First one I am wearing as my gloss today, Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb Creams and the Gloss Bomb Heats. I love the heats. This is my favorite formula. I like it way more than the luminizer and the creams. That's just personal preference. This used to be my number one top favorite gloss. I had like 8 gloss bombs at one point. It was actually ridiculous. I mean, as you can tell, it's super juicy, super luminous. These smell just like a fruity gummy, like a fruity candy that smells so good. The shade range is superb, but specifically the cream formula. If you just want something that's not gonna settle into your fine lines and create those like weird little like lines on your lips, Gloss Bomb Cream. If you just want a flat kind of color, not flat as in like not dimensional, flat as in there's no shimmer, there's no glitter, it's just pigment. And the heat formula is basically the cream formula with a little bit of plumping action. This is more of like a cinnamony, kind of spicy kind of plump. Definitely nothing like the Too Faced lip injections. Those are like extreme. This is nothing. This is the AF94 Scribble Stick. It's marketed as a glossy lip crayon. These smell like the strawberry shortcake dolls. This is the shade Keeping Secrets. Like, look how creamy, how glossy. These are really fun. Like, that gloss is insane. I was really concerned that this would be really messy, that it would like melt, that it would be really gloopy, but the formula is good. Like, it holds its own. You do need a sharpener with like a big size in it to sharpen these, so keep that in mind. But these are super hydrating, super glossy. They have a lot of really pretty colors, and this is under $10 and available at Walmart. I'm including a liquid lipstick in here only because the formula does feel like a cream but sets down like a velvet mousse / liquid lipstick. And this is the Dose of Colors matte liquid lipstick in the shade Nude Mood. I wore this in my last video, so if you like to see how that looks, go check that out. This one does transfer a little bit, but this is still great for longevity. This fades away super naturally. It's not going to transfer onto your chin, you know, when you're eating like a burger or like pizza and like you get like the transfer right here. That doesn't happen with this product. The colors are absolutely stunning. Like, Dose of Color really knows their nude lipsticks. This is what the applicator looks like. And it feels very moussey and whipped. Okay, so those are all of my cream product recommendations for the summer. Like, comment, subscribe. You already know the drill. I am sending you guys so much love and light. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!